Back again with another review. We are getting closer to the end of the Sandman. My name is Josh. Thanks for checking out the channel. And as I said, we are reviewing Sandman. This is episode 9, I believe. So we're at 9, and this one's called The Collector. Collection? Something like that. This is a cool one. This is also one where there's so many stories that are happening and coming kind of back together. I think we can start to see where this is going to end. Okay, no, I've said that before in the past, and I don't think we're necessarily going to see where it's going to end, but I think we're kind of coming to that point. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk briefly on kind of what happened in the show, and I'm going to talk as if that you were there. So if you haven't seen it already, definitely go check it out. But before that, I will say that overall, this has been my favorite of the last 2 or 3, you know, ever since number 6, because I think the other 2 were still kind of building on this same story that we're currently in with Rose and Lydia, I think I called her Lydia in the last video. What's happening with them, and then we finally got the Corinthian back in. So number 7 and 8 were definitely really good too, but they were building, and I mean, we're still technically in a little bit of a build here until this 10th episode, so we're going to see what happens. So overall, it was really good. I dug the characters, I dug the story where they're going. We had the Corinthian back and getting more into it, but overall, it's been my favorite of the more recent ones. Yeah, but now we're going to talk a little more in depth, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out and come on back. So where this one basically starts is where the last one ended, number 8. So Rose is actually in, I believe, the throne room of Morpheus in the dream world, and kind of shocks him because nobody's really supposed to be able to get there. And anyway, they introduce, and it's kind of what you would expect. I guess it's kind of civil, where, you know, they're just talking about what's going on. She's looking for her brother. I believe at that point, I don't think he tells her everything, but definitely tells her that she's important, and I think he even tells her she's a vortex at that point, but doesn't really expand on what that means. But does say that, you know, if she comes back the next time that she's sleeping, she'll come back there, they'll meet up, and then they'll both go look for her brother. Also, he's looking for the missing dreams, nightmares, so you've got Galt, but Galt's back now, so actually Galt's got put into banished to darkness or whatever, so he's really gone, but he's back. Then you still have Fiddler's Green, I believe, and then the Corinthian. So he's saying that basically dream vortexes draw dreams to them, so he should be, basically he's using her as a bait, more or less, which is a risky game, which Lucian says, because dream vortexes do have the potential to wipe dreaming worlds or worlds out of existence or create new ones. So there's definitely a little risk involved with that one, but he is the Dream Lord, so he makes the decisions, which he lets everybody know that's his role, so he's going to do that. So she kind of goes back to the dream waking world, and this is where it gets a little super wonky. She definitely goes looking for Jed. She finds the house where Jed had been. Unfortunately, or fortunately, actually maybe fortunately, the Corinthian was there before her and definitely took care of uncle and aunt, you know, dumb shit scumbag previous to that, but now has Jed, and is taking Jed to his sister in a roundabout way as he makes his way to the cereal convention, which was actually a really clever play on words, as we turned out that this, and there was a kind of a little side story that was going on that I don't know if I mentioned because it was kind of brief and I didn't really know who the characters were, but apparently there's just a convention for serial killers, and this is where they try and get, you know, keynote speakers to come in. It's a very interesting scenario, and if you've ever been to like a work conference or something like that, it definitely is very reminiscent of, get there, you check in, and then you have little sessions and breakout rooms and stuff like that, and they just had some very odd topics, which definitely came to pass as Gilbert was going through them. So jumping ahead a little bit, so he's got Jed on his way there. Then they're gonna meet up with Rose. They do stop and get some food, and it's actually a very interesting scene because it's the Corinthian who's, you know, just a nightmare, but he's talking pretty genuinely, it seems like, to Jed, and explaining that, you know, they're runners and he's a runner too and doesn't want to do that anymore, and after they meet up with his sister they won't have to. So there's definitely some plotting and planning going on here, but it definitely made him, I don't want to say sympathetic because Corinthian's not sympathetic, but he's already kind of likable too. Anyway, I dug it. It's pretty good. They're heading there, and Rose, when she gets out of the dream, you know, she goes and looks for Jed, finds out the uncle and aunt are dead, comes back and decides to tell Lydia exactly what's her, Lydia, what's happening. To lo and behold, Lydia is now pregnant in the real world, and she definitely took to all the things that Rose said, took them to heart really quickly. Oh yeah, I believe you, and just turns out and wah, she's definitely preggers a little bit there. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, and Rose kind of figures out that it's her fault, kind of what's happening, but doesn't exactly know what's happening. So she goes ahead and is like, you know, I'm gonna go up and get my brother. And then Gilbert, the guy that stays upstairs at the Airbnb, kind of insists that he needs to go, and seems like a nice enough dude, who we do find out a little bit later is somebody else. But they're heading up there. I think they're going to Georgia, and it was like 3-4 hour drive, so Jed had a little bit of time to kill at the convention. Who he's supposed to stay in the room doesn't really come to fruition. He is a little bit of an explorer, a little bit rebellious. Excuse me, but as it turns out, that is not the convention to be exploring at, especially when you have some scenes with a couple of people who are, or at least a person who's specifically a child serial killer, who's just super creepy as can be and icky. Plays the part really well though. But just some of the conversations that they're having there in passing, it's pretty messed up. So, you know, he's starting to realize kind of what's going on. I don't think he knew, actually he didn't understand at all what's going on until he kind of ran in on Corinthian and several of the other ones collecting an imposter, so to speak, which was kind of a cool little setup twisty thing that they had going on there. Again, maybe like the Corinthian even more, even though he's a pretty really bad dude. So Jed figures that out, but this is also at the point where Rose had gotten back there and had gotten there as well. You know, he's looking for Jed, hasn't really come up to anybody, but says she's got a room reserved under her name. It's upstairs. Gets split up from Gilbert, and Gilbert runs into Corinthian, and they definitely know each other. And this is when you start to realize, okay, aha, Fiddler's Green, or the other dream, nightmare, whatever they may be, just bounces out. It's like, oh, peace out. Doesn't really know. He doesn't know that she is the vortex at the time, and you know, it's like, I gotta go. And then he actually goes right back and goes and tells Dream what's happening, or Lord Morpheus, because again, he hasn't really been a bad guy. It was a good kind of dynamic. I want to see what happens with him, but again, he is unwittingly about the vortex and what's been happening with her. So it was interesting, but a lot more even on the Dream side of the world, where Dream had been taking it on himself to find all of this by himself, and there was a little, I don't know if it's like uncertainty on his side, or like if he feels like his power is being usurped or people are circumventing him. But you know, he made it pretty clear early on that everybody's to come to him about this, and then he kind of ends up like, yeah, you know, I probably should get some help from, you know, maybe Lucien and some of the other ones, and does end up roundabout way kind of apologizing, saying that she is very valued, and in a very nice manner without actually saying sorry. But it's definitely character development. He's definitely changing, as Fiddler's Green, or Gilbert, noted to Lucien later. But it boils down to the fact that Lucien was right early on, that all of this is happening because of the Dream Vortex. So Rose, I don't know if it's just the proximity of her being with Lydia, but Lydia's husband, you know, they can see each other in the dream world, and they're planning this life. He's built this house, you know, they're planning to have a kid. Obviously, she's pregnant now. But they figured it out, and then Dream goes to deal with that and basically lets them know this is actually on the car ride up, I believe, where Rose actually, you know, went to sleep in the car, and it was pretty clear that the husband knew what was happening. Like, you know, this is not meant to be. You're breaking the walls of this reality by this being here. You know, you have a ghost, and you actually have a living person in a dream that's trying to live there, and it's just not good. So he actually tries to kind of be nice and be like, okay, you need to say your goodbyes now. And then, you know, the dude was like on board with it, and then Lydia is like, no, you need to get out of our house. And he's like, okay, enough of this. And there goes the husband. You know, kind of a drastic move, but honestly, he was trying to be nice. He was trying to be nice, maybe a little abrupt, maybe not a lot of bedside manner, but it's his world, and he's trying to make sure that it stays active. But anyway, so it does show that Rose gets angry and also realizes how powerful she is. Maybe not fully, but she's going to be, and that just kind of sets up an interesting scenario for what's going to happen in the future coming up. But end all be all, it kind of ended where Jed ran into Rose outside of the room. They get chased by one of the child serial killer, who of course gets got by Corinthian, and then I believe it kind of just ends there. Or maybe there's a few other little scenes, but basically it's Fiddler's Green realized or was told who Rose is, and then it just kind of came out that, oh, Morpheus is going to have to kill her to end this. So we'll have to see how this all ends up. I'm excited and kind of sad because this is the 10th episode, although I know there is a bonus episode that got dropped, but I don't think it has to do necessarily with this exact story. So hopefully we'll see how this one ends up. I'm done guessing on how it's going to end up, because it's just been taking all kinds of twists and turns, which I appreciate. So definitely a very solid episode. I can't wait to watch the next one and then have to review the whole season. I'm so excited. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Did you guys dig it? I love the serial convention. That was such a good idea. And again, it's just the casual conversations they're having as Gilbert's walking by, or anybody else, about different murder and hijacking and ransoms and stuff like that. It's great. So yeah, let me know what you think. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Peace out.